Hello, 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 hello. Welcome everybody, my name is Lieutenant Dessler for Two Hands, Too Many Games, and I am doing episode 2 of Plague Inc. For those of you that may have seen a possible episode 2, there were issues with it. No one can actually hear a bloody thing I was saying. So, at the end of episode 1, and prior to my game crashing on me, and thus killing this stream, I wanted to show you guys what a virus could do in and on its own terms under the ideal circumstances. Now, that being said, a lot of people would be like, oh, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And it kind of just aggravates me a little bit because people are like, oh my god, you're using cheats. No. I'm not gonna do what most people would do in this game when they use God mode. In this case, this is technically what it is. So, when you take a virus, such as it is, and in real life, I'll put that down. In real life, a virus rapidly adapts and it rapidly mutates. And it's one of those things that it can be so destructive in such a short amount of time. All you have to do is look at the H1N1 virus, the swine flu. Swine flu was very, very prevalent when it ended up coming around. People were getting sick. I was actually a victim of the swine flu itself. I was laid up for 2 weeks, and it sucked. It was horrendous. But what I'm going to do is that I'm going to give the virus the ideal circumstances, and I'm just going to let it do its own thing. And then you can see exactly what a virus will do. So I'm not going to touch any of this. Like, I have unlimited DNA, and theoretically I could torch the whole thing, but I want you guys to see what it can do in the ideal circumstances. And I'm going to leave this tree out mainly because its infectivity is already relatively high. So I'm just going to go with insects, bloodborne. I'm going to go with air and water, making it an extreme bioaerosol, because that's what a virus will eventually become, or that's what it is kind of already. So we're just going to crank the speed of this, and we're just going to let it do its own thing. And I'm going to get rid of these freaking help. I don't want the extra things. It'll turn the extra pop-ups off. So that should work. There we go. We're just going to let it do its own thing. But yeah, viruses are fun. The viruses are probably one of the most entertaining things to watch from a scientific standpoint. If you had watched my previous video, or the first video, I talked about the virus and it being a lot more fun to play than bacteria. And as you can see, this thing has already spread pretty fucking quickly. I'm not doing anything, though I will stop the research portion of that. Because I don't want that to happen. Actually, that's where I want it to be. I'm going to turn that down. And now I'm going to be evil, and I'm actually going to let it rapidly evolve the way it does. And then you can see how quickly it'll burn. Or maybe it's not killing as quickly as I'd like it to. May have to help it along. Oh. Well, that's kind of shitty. So it has all the infectivity that I wanted to, but we're gonna make this really fun. Mainly because I wanted to kill quickly so I can move on to the fungus, because the fungus is actually really difficult to play. And funguses in general are difficult themselves. Oh. Well, there we go. Viruses are dangerous. In a world with our technology and now, with super viruses, not super viruses, but the super bacteria that are resistant to cures, as it were, or antibacterials, they adapt just as quickly, and it becomes a very, very scary thing. So, anyways, that's the virus. That's how quickly a virus can, and it will burn a world to the ground given the right circumstances and the right environment. So, anyways, the fungus. Now, because I have problems with the fungus itself, mainly due to spread patterns and infectivity, I'm actually, again, going to do it as if I'm going to cheat a little. So I'm just going to do unlimited strain, so I just have the DNA power, and that's pretty much about it. But like, if you've noticed that when I originally started, I placed it in the United States. I have nothing bad about to say about the United States except for the president, but that's its own thing. That'll sort itself out eventually. But the reason why I choose the United States typically is because of its port availability. Now, if you remember the virus and how quickly it spread, it actually spread through this port here really quickly. And Port of New York manages to go all over the place. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change this up. I'm actually not going to put the fungus in the US. I'm going to start the fungus in China. Now, the reason why, tactically and game-wise, why I would start this in China is because of this here. All of this landmass. This has the majority of the world's population. And in order to be able to do infectivity and to spread across, you want to start it in a place where it's humid, it's warm, and it has access to a lot of people. And China has a massive fucking population. So we're just going to start it there. Pop that up. Now, the thing about fungus is that fungus is not really good to spread by insects or blood, so I'm going to leave that tree out. And this is actually the one time where I will touch the animal tree, because fungus, as you know, typically we eat them. They're called mushrooms. But spores will actually latch onto anything and everything, and it's easier for them to spread via the animals. It really is. And then, if you want to, and if it is able to, if you get spores that are light enough, they'll travel by air and they'll travel by water. Now, the thing about funguses as well is that they need to be able to thrive. So you got to give them a good, perfect temperature base in which that it can be invulnerable to it and spread. So that if it was to jump on, say, a seagull, and it goes, or it jumps on a bird and it goes to a hot climate, it'll survive. Or if it was to jump onto, say, a deer and it go north into, like, say, Russia, it'll survive. It'll thrive. And then we're just going to give it that, and then we'll leave that alone. Now, these itself are spore bursts, and this basically allows the fungus to basically go where it needs to. However, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let it do a natural spread. And let it do it itself. Because that way you can see what it'll do on its own. And as you can see, China fucking lit up like you wouldn't believe. This is why I want to start it in a place like that, because then it'll just crawl. And now it's a matter of, you know, keeping an eye on that. Now we have to see. Now I'm just gonna be a dick and just continue spraying them around. It's not gonna do anything because the majority of the world is already infected. Now the problem is because this doesn't evolve like a virus does, you have to give it its traits. And because I'm gonna be an asshole. And because I want them to burn quickly. Ta-da! We'll just let it go on its own. But yeah, the thing is, the fungus itself won't actually adapt like, say, a virus will. Or bacteria, because bacteria is constantly evolving and you can get a lot out of it. Fungus, not so much. It has to be able to attach itself to one thing and go into another area. But under a year, 235 days. But if you look at its natural progression without me helping it, really, it crossed pretty quickly because of the animals and because of its environment. So now, if we were to look at something that's a little bit more different and to see something take over something bodily and then control it in such a way that it would, oh, I don't know, spread itself via people, maybe the Nerex worm. And a Nerex worm is basically its own little parasite type deal. It's one of these really, really creepy things and where it attaches itself to the human brain, to the human host. Basically forcing it to go and do its bidding, as it were. We call it the alien. Now, unlike the fungus, I'm actually going to go back and I'm going to start this in the US. Because I'm a cruel human being. Now, if you look at the different structure here between transmission, symptoms, and abilities, the Nerex worm doesn't have the general setup like the previous three. It plays differently. And it allows it to travel, fortunately. Oh, I didn't give it... Hang on, I didn't give it its thing. I gotta go back. I didn't give it the cheat, as it were. Oh, will it not let me? There we go. I was wondering why I couldn't do it. Sorry. I'm gonna go back. So, I'm gonna go back into its ability. And I'm just gonna give it the drug resistance. But what's nice about this is that it'll jump onto a host, and then for this, the Trojan planes, manipulation of dopamine transporters results in a form of ADHD, which encourages hosts to fly to a target country. So basically, you could choose or force this parasite or this worm and make the host almost zombie-like. You can have it do whatever the hell you want. So, we're gonna give it all of these. So, this was pheromone secretion, used to get more hosts to travel on planes than target countries. Same thing, target aggression, aggression destructive, bolster pheromone for Trojan planes, secretion. It's really, really kind of creepy. And then we're gonna have a look at these. So this is for the transmission of the parasite. So you can have it go by gripping portions of the body to push-pull other sections, allowing faster movement outside of host, increasing infectivity. Or the Nerex worm produces eggs that are ejected from the host brain into thousands, increasing infectivity or infectionness. Worms able to exchange genetic material inside the host body, increasing chance of mutation. So I'm going to give it a higher chance of mutation because that's what I want. Worms are drawn to corpses, increasing infectivity when corpse is present, or fragmented RNA strands cause frequent replication errors when regenerating and increased chance of mutation. And that's what I want. I want a higher increase of mutation because I want it to evolve and let's see what it turns into. If it turns the host into a zombie thing, then so be it. So we're going to give it the ability to go outside of its body. So that way it can go through water and air. So, we're going to give it that, and then we're going to let it go on its own. See how quickly it infects people and spreads. So, the first thing that it gave was a neural breach. So, breach the blood-brain barrier to allow access to the host brain causes dystonia, rapid eye blinking. So, we're getting started. I'm gonna get these islands because they're such a pain in the ass. Cerebral tendrils. Let's see, what is this? Tendril production in the cerebral cavities begins, enables increased control over host brain. So, this thing is slowly turning its host into a zombie. Sound familiar? Anybody? Now, where do I actually want to take this to? I'm gonna send it to wherever. I'm actually gonna check the. So it's just all the Middle East. So we'll let it propagate on its own. Let's send it to West Africa. Oh, see, and this is a problem. I wasn't paying attention. Let's give it its environment because I really should have done that in the first place, and I didn't. Now, because it's not evolving fast enough, I'm going to be an asshole and go over all of these. So I'll go over what each of these are and what this does. So eventually when it will self-unlock on its own. It'll lead to being able to fly a little bit more, and then it leads to people getting psychosis, going to despair, and then eventually there'll be suicide, and there's adoration, the devotion, and then transcendence. So it becomes treated New York Swarm as an eternal god. Obsession, insanity, aggression, mania, immaturity. Everyone's immature these days. Frontal mesh, perceptive jolt. So these are all brain related, these are all ocular related. And then more brain related things. I'm just trying to kill the people quickly. 337 for Bravo Fox. There's no more healthy people. Good, okay. So, the parasite is actually... not the parasite, but this The whole world worships the alien as their god and master. Efforts to cure the plague have ceased and humanity is entering a dark new future as a slave species. So, it's kind of interesting to see this, but when you play in actuality, it's actually really difficult because you have to be able to control and run each of where things are going to be. It's one of those difficult ones that I have had problems with. Now, before I end this video, because I like to keep Plague Inc. and BioInc relatively short, I love these, let's see, single player, and then we go to custom scenarios. I love custom scenarios. Custom scenarios are fantastic. And if you've noticed, I recently did a bunch of videos and stuff on aliens and predators and all that stuff. So there's this one that I really like called Xenomorph Invasion. And this thing becomes so fast. And it spreads brutally. Actually, yeah, let's just do that. Actually, no, I'm not going to. I'm not going to cheat. I'm just going to do this on normal. Xenomorph. And it found itself, parked itself in the United States. Well, would you look at that? This is why, you know, the United States is great, because of it coming out of the port of, a lot of stuff coming out of the port of New York. Chestburster. Transmission. I'll leave it to evolve on its own for that. But it becomes relatively quick once you have shit going. I just need to wait for... Oh, I need that. I need a queen. 46 points. I gotta sit and wait. Xenomorphs are actually kind of terrifying. And if you were to have that kind of alien species here in our world, you'd be like, well, we're fucked. Massively fucked. There's nothing that we can do. We're screwed. How are you gonna fight against that, right? Let's get the queen. Now the infectivity becomes crazy because the queen is perpetually making eggs. And then, you know, people are getting face fucked, you know, every 5 seconds. Terrifying. And then there's going to be more queens that are going to spread across the world and all that kind of crap. So. Again, this is why I like starting everything in the United States, because of this. And then, as you can see, it's spreading happily around. You know, just let the world burn on its own. I mean, I can go like that, that, and that. 310 points to evolve a king. The king is a cheat. And there is no way to really cure this thing. I don't care what anybody says. Just kind of watching Greenland. Or Greenland. But if you want to know how quickly it would take for the Xenomorph to take over the world, roughly, you're better off trying to live on a boat. And then, and then, and then... That's the problem. These things don't kill as quickly as you think they do, unfortunately. Though they do take forever. Shit. Xenomorph to destroy humanity. Yes, I know it will. So, it took just under 2 years to wipe out all of humanity. Because we would fight back. We have the ability to fight back because of our military and all that. But because of what the Xenomorph is, it is crazy creepy, and people would end up having nightmares and doing stupid stuff. So it's not just the Xenomorphs killing humanity off and then replacing humanity with an entire gigantic hive ball, which would be the planet. But we, in fear, would be killing each other. And if you've seen Alien Isolation, that's exactly what happens, is that the fear of this creature, this perfect organism, on this Sevastopol station is causing people to turn against one another, and people to freak out and be like, oh my god, you're trying to kill me, no, you're trying to kill me. It turns into a whole cycle. So, anyways, thank you for joining me on this wonderful episode of Plaguing 2, where we went over what a virus will naturally do on its own terms, given the right circumstances, as well as look at the fungus and the Neox parasite. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you'd like to see more, let me know in the comments below, or just hit me up with a like or subscribe, and you will find out when the next one comes out. Alright, you guys take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.